enforcement team to issue compounds only as last resort. VIPs are not excluded from legal action. Hello and good afternoon. I'm Jessica Lee. Welcome to Updates at Noon. Now, the government considers the issue of compounds for violations of the Standard Operating Procedure or SOPs to prevent a COVID-19 infection as settled, and enforcement teams have been reminded to issue summonses only as a last resort. Now, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Sri Taqiyuddin Hassan, said, for example, in a situation where many people fail to observe the SOPs, enforcement officers would first give advice and warnings.
Dalam satu-satu suasana tu didapati ramai yang tidak mematuhi SOP, tugas penguatkuasa ni adalah untuk bagi teguran, bagi amaran, bagi arahan supaya patuh. Kalau tak patuh lagi, barulah kita ambil tindakan.
He said new guidelines on the 3 categories of offences had been issued with the differing amounts for compound spelled out. On Wednesday, Datuk Sri Taqiyuddin said the Cabinet had agreed to set the guidelines on value of compounds and discounts for various offences following complaints over compounds of up to 10,000 ringgit for individuals and 50,000 ringgit for companies. They include an offer of 50% or 25% discount to individuals or companies who settle their compounds within a specified period. The guidelines spell out offences under 3 categories: high, moderate and normal, with their corresponding compound values. Senior Minister for Security, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, has reiterated that no one, including VIPs, would be exempted from legal action if found violating the rules or standard operating procedures or SOPs set for the prevention and control of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Sebenarnya dari segi tindakan, polis selama ni pun pernah mengambil tindakan kepada VIP. Jadi tindakan kepada semua. Tak kira VIP, VVIP, VVVVV ke whatever lah. Siapa saja yang melakukan kesalahan di negara kita ini tidak dilindungi. Tak kira lah siapa.
On another note, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said interstate travel is still not allowed, even among areas designated as green zones. He said this was because the Ministry of Health, or MOH, was still sensitive with regards to cross-state permits, as the leeway given in December last year had resulted in 32 new COVID-19 clusters. The senior minister added that so far, a total of 21,791 military personnel had received the COVID-19 vaccine in the first phase, which involves personnel working in the front line, such as roadblocks and those serving abroad. On another note, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said the Enhanced Movement Control Order, or EMCO, enforced at Kampung Tringgus Bau, Sarawak on the 8th of March ends today, as scheduled. Now, he said the decision was made after taking into account the risk assessment conducted by various agencies in the Movement Control Order, or MCO, Technical Committee. Elaborating further, Datuk Sri Ismail said to date, the Ministry of Health, or MOH, has conducted 55 screening tests, of which a cumulative of 4 COVID-19 positive cases were recorded. MOH confirmed the number of COVID-19 positive cases in the locality showed a downward trend. The cluster is under control and there are no more samples awaiting results. On the compliance with the Standard Operating Procedures, or SOPs, of the MCO, he said only 6 individuals were compounded for violating the SOPs for not wearing face masks and failing to provide equipment to record customers' details. He said the compliance task force led by the Royal Malaysia Police, or PDRM, conducted 67,207 checks on Friday to monitor and enforce SOP compliance. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said 49 illegal immigrants were nabbed yesterday in ops venting mounted to control the country's border. He said enforcement officers from the Construction Industry Development Board, or CIDB, also mounted 11 inspections on construction sites nationwide and found all of them adhered to the SOPs set to curb the COVID-19 outbreak. Meanwhile, the senior minister said 1,406 individuals arrived at all international entry points on Friday, and they were being isolated at quarantine centres nationwide. The Health Ministry reported 4 new clusters yesterday involving both transmissions in the community and workplaces with 2 clusters each. The Taman Perindustrian Perkananas factory cluster in Johor recorded the highest number of cases among the new clusters at 39, following a targeted screening exercise involving 212 workers. The Telok Tawa workplace cluster involving an education centre recorded 2 new cases. This brings the number of active cases to 33 from 335 tests conducted. The Tanjung Genting cluster in Meradong, Sarawak traced its index case to a 66-year-old Malaysian who was positive on the 13th of March. 3 new cases have been reported so far, bringing the number of active cases to 22, involving 66 screenings. The Pulau Pisang cluster in Perak recorded 4 new cases yesterday, bringing the active number of cases to 15 from a total of 41 screened. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said there were still 421 active clusters as of yesterday. 871 clusters, meanwhile, have been declared ended. Now, the government is ready to discuss proposals on the exemptions of entertainment tax for cinema operators affected by the COVID-19 outbreak. Communications and Multimedia Minister Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah said although there were complaints and suggestions on the matter from the industry, no official memorandum had been sent to the ministry. According to Datuk Saifuddin, the collection of entertainment tax comes under the jurisdiction of the local authorities in their respective states. However, the federal government is still open to discussion. He said he have heard complaints on entertainment tax exemptions for a long time, but since the COVID-19 pandemic began, the matter has gained traction. However, there is no official memorandum yet, and the ministry is looking into it. Meanwhile, the minister called on the public to head to the cinema, saying that there was nothing to worry about if all the set SOPs were adhered to. He said the reopening of cinemas will help the economy and help boost the income of cinema staff and other related industries. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin will make a 2-day official visit to Sabah beginning today. Now, according to a spokesman of the Sabah Chief Minister's office, the visit is aimed at strengthening cooperation between the state and federal governments, apart from facilitating comprehensive development planning for the land below the wind. The visit is the first by Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin since Gabungan Rakyat Sabah, or GRS, which comprises Perikatan Nasional PN, Barisan Nasional BN and Parti Bersatu Sabah PBS, formed the Sabah government after the state elections in September last year. The visit is also expected to ensure that the GRS government's newly formulated Sabah Maju Jaya, or SMJ development plan, can move in tandem with the National Shared Prosperity Vision policy. The SMJ is projected to bring major benefits to the people of Sabah through the implementation of high-impact projects and programs which require federal government support and assistance. The Prime Minister, in a special interview in conjunction with his first year in office, recently reiterated that the PN government's commitment that Sabah and Sarawak would be treated fairly like the states in Peninsular Malaysia.